Hey guys, Kid here. I'm going to show you the Love Live deck I used in Sacramento regional qualifiers for the national English side Weiss tournament. I'm going to go over the deck a little bit and like let you know my thought process when I built this deck for the English side. So first off, as you can see, I used Love Live for the tournament. I ended up third place, losing to the first place Monaco player in top 4, and then beating Sao build for third place. So to get into this deck, first off, we run 4 gates and then 4 wind triggers because we do run both of those climax combos in this deck, and also, gate is always good. Wind trigger in this case was like relatively useful, especially in the English meta, especially if you play against Madoka, because you can bounce their changes, and then Bakemono you can bounce their supports, which causes them to waste a lot of stock to replay it again. One thing you might notice too off the bat here is that our level 0 game here is actually relatively small count. The reason behind that is that basically we want to play a level 1 game at level 0 to get some kind of advantage early on because of this level 0 rarity that changes into the 1-0 rarity. But to get into our zeros, we just run 2 Gator researchers. These are pay 1, discard 1, and search for a music character from your deck, and then add it to your hand. We basically use this to either pay out early climaxes, or set up change at level 0, or switch out Umi Brainstorm at level for our level 1 game, since Umi Brainstorm is like one of the reasons this deck can do so well, on top of having the 1-0 rarity game. Next, our kind of backup plan for level 0 is these 0-0 Nikos. We only run 3 of them because we kind of don't want this to happen that often, and there's no reason to really run 4 since it's not too good after level 0. But at level 0, it can help you sustain some field early, get some early advantage through its +1 level and 1500 power when it's by itself. It's good. It's really good at killing Suiciders when opponents go first and they choose to play a Suicider. You can just play this and kill a Suicider, and they can't kill this. Besides that, like I said, it's not super amazing. It's just there if we fall flat on setting off our early change. And then, like I said a little bit earlier, here's the eddy changer. It goes into the 1-0 eddy. Basically, you just put this to clock, and you get the 1-0 eddy from your waiting room onto the field. What's so good about this change is that it helps you get closer to the level 1, because usually you kind of want to be level 1 before your opponent so you can set up your field, so they have a really hard time getting over it. And also, like I said, it does also generate advantage, because the 1-0 is very hard for a lot of sets, especially in English, to deal with at 0 without like playing a 2k1 or something. Next, this card is more of a tech, and also we need more red in this deck, and also, like the Nico, if we fall flat on the change at 0, we have this as backup. Basically, it's just a Suicider, but it has a secondary ability which is useful sometimes depending on certain scenarios. The ability is on attack. You can return 2 character cards from your waiting room and shuffle it into your deck. What makes this really good is, for example, you need to say you're going for game and your deck's pretty thin, but you need to make sure you trigger on the last swing to be able to kill them for exact damage. You can use this to shuffle in 2 more triggers and increase your chances to hit the trigger to kill your opponent. You can also shuffle 2 cards back in that you want to search out next turn, or brainstorm and search, something like that. Or even, for example, say you have 2 cards in your deck, and you have a climax in your hand that you want to play that turn, but you also want to get back in your deck. If you're okay with like taking 1 extra damage at during your opponent's turn, what you can do is attack with this, shuffle 2 cards back into your deck, and then after 3 attacks you'll end up with 1 card left in your deck. So if you play that climax that turn, or like your 1k1, or like the wind trigger here, you'll be able to get it back into your deck, so you can still refresh with all 8. And it also sets up having more clean stock in that sense. But like I said, it's just kind of techy. Also fulfills a red requirement for our later game. And then also, if we fall flat on the change at 0, we can still have this. Next, we have 2 of these Maki Brainstormers. This is just like somewhat of a support to like help out your 1-0 eddy once you get the change off early, to give it some bonus power and like make sure that it's out of 2k1 range for the most part. But also, it has a spammable Brainstorm, which is not used that often in the deck. It's mostly used to unscrew yourself if you drew into a lot of climaxes, but also it can randomly be used to get over things at like level 3 if you need it for your Nico. But most of the time, due to the yellow climax combo, it's not needed. But it's always good to have a spammable brainstorm, and it's a level 0 brainstorm, so it's all great. Next, our level 1 game. Here is basically the core of almost every Love Live deck, which is 1-0 Umi and 1-0 Eri. We'll go with the Umi first, which is, in my opinion, one of the best brainstormers like printed. Well, I wouldn't say like, well, basically in English right now, this is definitely the best brainstormer to have. It just has a really good support ability and a really good plusing hand brainstorm effect that already lines up in the same colors that you want to play, which is yellow at level 1. So this 1-0 Umi brainstorm, what it does is global 500 music, and then also its brainstorm effect is pay 1, tap 2 characters, middle to top 4. For every climax you hit, you can search your deck for a music character and add it to hand, then shuffle. Plusing hand brainstorms are amazing in this game. Like getting an Umi brainstorm off in the mirror match is really important to make sure you can just sustain hand size, since you're always constantly trading your field. The next our generic 1-0 beater for this deck is the 1-0 Eri. She just generic 4/5 with for every other music character gains 500. Basically, with the Umi Brainstormer out and another support, this card's a 1075, so it's 500 over vanilla and it costs you nothing. And then on top of that, there's a changer to it. So if it does die, you can basically clock yourself 1 to get it back, which is like amazing, especially since you pay nothing for it and nothing for the change for the most part. The next card here is the 1-0 Kotori, which is just a 1-0 Suicider. There is a Climax combo with it, but we don't use it in the deck because the Climax combo sucks, because I do not like the Climax that it goes with it, and I'd rather be playing the Gate Climax combo and also the Wind Trigger Climax combo in this deck due to at the time I thought I would be playing a lot of Sao in their Power Level 1 game, but turns out I didn't, but still it's like pretty important. Also, Love Live right now is one of the few sets that have a level 1 Suicider, which is really important when you're afraid of running your 1-0 Aries into counters. You can play the Suicider to kill their 1-0 or their 1-1s. And having Suicider is really good in the Sao matchup, just because you force them to keep encoring their 1-1 Prison Asuna if they go that path. And we run 3 of it because a little bit having a little consistency, though I might cut one later on, but who knows. Next, we get to this 1-0 Kotori support. At first, I put this in the deck, and I was like, I don't know if this card's going to work with this deck because of the Umi Brainstorm and stuff like that, but I did talk to one of my friends, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, Garrett. He's from Germany, I believe, and one day he started talking to me about English Love Live, since he was going to go to an English qualifier, and he wanted to, like, bounce some ideas off of me, and then also ask, like, what would I run and stuff. And then I put a deck together, and then he's like, oh, you're not running the Kotori support, the Vice Leader type? And I was like, I don't know. At the time, I was like, I don't know. It doesn't really feel. I don't feel like it really synergizes well with the deck at all because of the Umi Brainstorm. But then we got. He started talking to me more about it, and it makes a lot of sense to actually be running this right now when there's only one set for Love Live. The reason is the changer into Eri is basically free. You just clock yourself. So whenever you change into Eri at level 1 and have this out, you can just pay 1 to +1, which is really good at salvaging level 3s, level 1s, level supports, counters, or even the level 2 changer, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. This card is like pretty good. After playing the deck so much now, and through some playtesting, I might actually like consider cutting it to 1, but it's a really good like one of. I think it's really good in the mirror match too, in English, just because you just want to have more advantage than your opponent in the mirror match, especially being able to like heal and then to get Nico clock shooters out and so forth. But I think it's a really good card, and it has global 500 in music, which is like having another Umi support anyway, which is what you want to do since you want your 1-0 early game to all be costless 7/5 beaters and making it hard for your opponent to kill. Next, we run a 2 of this 1-1 Honoka. It basically gets 500 in Encore if you have 3 or more other music characters, and then it has a Climax combo with Gate, which is on attack. If you play the Gate, you can pay 1 to salvage 1. It's one of the only ways besides Gate to salvage cards in this deck, or in this deck basically, and it's one of the ways we generate some advantage for playing a Climax. But what's the reason we run this as a 2 of and so forth, and not like going like all in on this thing is because we kind of just want to preserve stock as much as possible, but also we run it as a 2-of because we want some kind of consistency in our deck, just in case if our opponent starts like actually killing all our stuff and we can't deal with their things. At least we have a 1-1-6-5 with Encore all the time, and then with the 2 supports it's a 1-1-7-5 with Encore, which is pretty annoying for your opponent if they like kill it once but then you just Encore and kill all their stuff again, because usually a lot of people overextend to try to kill it. That's it for like the level 1 game. We don't run counters in this set because I didn't really think anyone would be playing around counters for the most part, and I didn't really care about killing people on their own, or killing characters on my opponent's turn. But after going through the entire tournament, I kind of regret not running like 1 or 2 1-0 counters. If I go to nationals, I probably will revise this deck if I decided to use Love Live and put some counters in there or something. But besides that, that's basically it for the 1 game. Next we get to the level 2 game, which is basically nothing for the most part. We have these green 2-1 counters that are just 3k backups. But what's really good about this backup, and the reason, some of the reason we run it, is that it has a secondary ability. When it comes into play, you can buff something 2k. It helps stuff get, like if need be, get our Nico to get over things and things like get over things so we can send things to clock with the Nico level 3. And then it's just like has dual purpose, and it also still vanilla counter. Also, it's in green to help us sustain our green for our level 3 game, because our level 3 game is basically just yellow and green. Next we have 2 level supports. This is a pretty decent level support, especially in a set where you want to kind of save some stock so you can go off at level 3. It has level support, and then when it comes into play, if there are 4 other music characters, you can take the top card of your deck and put it into stock. So basically you get 1 blind stock. Usually you play this first, or play this when you have a full field at level 2, and then you can like brainstorm and then pay out that stock just in case or something like that. Or if next turn you're going to be using a lot of stock, you just sit on it. So basically for the most part, this card is the 2-0 level support. Next we're going to this card that I think a lot of people are like, oh, why'd you run this kit, or anything like that. This is like one of the cards that I think a lot of people see in the deck and they're like, what, why? The thing is, in English, my assumption at the time was I'm going to hit a lot of Sal players, and if any of them have like really good deck builds, they're all going to be running like 1-1 Asuna and 1-0, like basically all these beater things at 1 that are like really hard for Love Live to get over without Suiciders. So what I wanted to do here was actually run this 2-1 changer into the 3-2 yellow with the climax combo, because it helps fulfill some of our red requirement, but also the change into this, even though we don't heal and it is kind of costly, it does build us advantage over time, especially at 2, and if we end up canceling a lot at 2, it just works out even better for us. The thing about this is the level 3, it comes into place, or it heals when it changes, or when it comes into play, and then has the climax combo with the wind trigger. What's so great about this climax combo is on attack it just gives all your characters 3k power for the turn. So what happens is it makes this 3-2 a beast at level 2, so it can kill level 3s. If your opponent's at 3 and you're at 2, you can still kill things, but it makes our 1-0 eddies with just two Umi supports or something out. They become 11-5, which is pretty annoying at level 2, so you can kill a lot of other level 2s. We don't really have anything else at level 2 because we're basically either banking off our 1-0 game, just lasting us until level 3, or this change to start clearing field because of the way like a lot of people build decks right now that aren't too used to the game. But this card did a lot of work at the regional. It just like helped me out everywhere, and it does build you a lot of advantage, and also it causes at level 2 you start hitting with 2-soul beater, which is great. And then like I said, we have the 4 healers here, run as 4 because I like healing and there's no real anti-heal that I have to worry about in English, so whatever. But then our final card here is 4 of the Nico Clock Shooter. It's Nico Idol Otaku. I think some people are kind of like, whoa, you run 4 of this? My reasoning behind this too was, my assumption was there's going to be a lot of, I don't want to say bad players, but a lot of people who are like still in that phase where they're like, whoa, Soul Plus 2 is but Soul Plus 2 is really silly and like can just kill people for no reason, and my assumption was a lot of people are going to just drop 3 cards and play Soul Plus 2, which turns out my assumption was somewhat correct. I hit a lot of Soul Plus 2 during that tournament, and I would get hit from like 0-1 to level 2, and then what happens is as soon as I get to level 3 and my opponent's barely like hitting level 2, I just drop Nikos, and then the soul -1 in front, which normally is kind of a demerit, especially versus other Japanese players who know how to abuse it, becomes a demerit or it becomes like a plus in most of those matchups, because my opponent is already having trouble keeping stuff on the board because they blew a lot of hand early to do like their soul +2 stuff. But also, my assumption too was like a lot of people were going to misplay into this Nico because of its ability, which is pay 2 and discard 1. Whenever when the battle opponent of this card becomes reversed, you may pay the cost. If so, put that character to clock. I don't think a lot of people understand that this also activates on their own turn. So I like sent a lot of things to clock on my opponent's turn, and they just got really screwed because of this card for the most part. If I go to Nationals, I'm probably not going to run this as a 4 of, but still this is a really good card, and I'm really glad I ran it as a 4 of at this particular tournament. It made it also very easy to search it out a lot, which is this card was like half the reason I won a lot of my games, just because I can guarantee the last damage to kill my opponent. Okay, besides that, this is basically the deck. I'm going to talk a little bit about the spread and our choices here. As you can see, like I think a lot of people in English really like to curve out their deck, and by curve out I mean like they really want to have like a 0 game and then into a 1, and then a lot of level 2s into a small amount of level 3s, because they want their deck to curve out like perfectly so they have something to play at every level all the time. I think that's like a really I think that's like something like a lot of decks have been doing that don't play or a lot of people have been doing that don't really play the Japanese game, and they just got into this game, or they came from Vanguard or something like that. But in reality, in this game, is the decks are more for the most part are more. It's more important to be very consistent and have some kind of advantage engine to just like constantly have you hand size or something, otherwise a way to kill your opponent too. So the way this deck works is basically you want some kind of we get some kind of like very costless advantage at level 1, and then that blends into our level 2 game where we have where we use the changer to like get over everything if our opponent's playing that way, where they just want to drop level 2s at level 2 and drop level 3s at level 3. Because for the most part in the Japanese meta, people don't really run level 2s because level 2s suck. Why would you want to play level 2s when you can play level 3s when you get hit to level 3 and just like heal a bunch, or play changers into level 3s that can build you advantage over time. So that's one of the reasons you don't really see like level 2s here in the way the deck's built. One of the things that's oddly funny about this deck is there's like very small amount of level 0s. We only have as you can see down here 14 zeros. Normally a deck has around 16. Most of my like decks in Japanese have anywhere from 18 to 20 because I usually want the utility. But the thing about English is this like oddly lined up by accident when we built it, or when I built this deck, is that the assumption that a lot of people are going to play Soul +2, it's better to actually have less zeros, because if you're going to, on your very next turn, you're going to be already level 1, you just have these 1-0 walls that your opponent can't really kill because they made the mistake of pushing you too fast to level 1, and then like they're stuck at 0 with all these things that can't kill your level 1, so they either side or they run their stuff in and just keep losing hand size over and over again. That turned out to be like a very strong asset to this deck during that tournament, just because of the nature of like the players I played. So it turned out like in this case having a little less than normal level 1s worked out, and also on top of that they have four of the level 0s are changes into 1-0, so that kind of worked out. And then like I said about this changer here, I really think this is a very strong card, or this is a very strong changer that gets like undervalued a lot. When I started off in Weiss, and like some of my other friends also start off in Weiss, there's changes like this where you're like, wow, this changer sucks, and then it turns out like a year later we're like, wow, why weren't we playing this changer before? It's actually like just there to build you advantage over time and build and like get rid of things that are really annoying. This is like one of those cards where I think a lot of newer players are gonna look at it and they're like, what, you put this to clock and you pay 2, so you end up paying 3 and put this to clock to change into a healer, so you heal nothing and you just paid an extra stock to get it out. But they don't realize that the thing it changes into has 2 soul as 10k, and also has a really good climax combo that you can play at 2 to just wipe everything. I think like I said earlier, for the most part a lot of games were won through this, and also the level 3 Nico. And as far as level 1 game, talk a little bit more on the Suicider. I think Love Live is one of the best sets you can play right now in English. If not like the best, it's like top 3 for sure. Just because it has a 1-0 Suicider. If it didn't have the 1-0 Suicider, it still would probably be top 3. But I just think this is what like pushes it to that like silliness level, because this is one of the few sets that has a like level 1 Suicider. So a lot of people aren't used to level 1 Suiciders yet. I had people who ran into my level 1 Suicider and didn't even realize it was level 1 Suicider, but that was kind of their fault for not really reading the card. Let's see, anything else to talk about this deck in English? Nothing really, but if I do go nationals, I think I'm gonna make some, I don't want to say drastic changes, but I will make some changes to this deck if I decide to run this deck again. I've been thinking a little bit on Kill la Kill or Persona for the most part. I wish Fairy Tail was coming out before the national tournament. Otherwise I'd play Fairy Tail, because that deck is pretty silly for the most part, just due to its level 1 Suicider Natsu Climax combo. That's like pretty awesome. Yep, this basically sums up this deck build. I had a really good run with it in Sacramento. I feel like for the most part, most of my games I didn't win due to luck. It was mostly like how I played the deck and some choices in cards. If I had to say anything, if I have to like give a MVP card to any card in this list, it would definitely be the level 3 Nico. It won me so many games just because of how I set up the field. There were some games too where you like this counter in the Modica match was just like amazing, because it set up a way for me to avoid playing into my opponent's Psycho's Wish counter. Besides that, like, yeah, this deck just ran very well in English. I did say in the beginning I would probably make some changes about like 1-0 not Suicider, 1-0 counters. I kind of want to put those in now if I decide to play this deck again. And not 100% sure on this, but it's like really good for the most part. It just helps you get more advantage and get more healers to your hand when you need to recycle stuff. And it's also, besides the level 1 gate, this is one of the only other ways you can salvage cards. Everything else is like a search engine in this deck. Well, hopefully I'll be back with another deck profile for English, since at this point I'm like 99% sure I'm going to the national tournament in Chicago near the end of November. I think it's on the 23rd or something like that, and hopefully I do well there and maybe make it to Worlds. If not, you'll just come back to me crying about how much I suck at this game. And then watch out later. I'm gonna try to post more videos. I know I say this every time, but I'm a really lazy person when it comes down to it, and like especially if I don't get like a lot of comments and stuff, or like I don't even know, like if people aren't like, if it doesn't look like people are like actually watching my stuff, I no motivation at all to do this. But I know like I've been getting a lot of messages lately to do more videos and do more like blog posts and stuff like that. And if you do want to read about my tournament report, if you go you can go to my blog, Burn One blog. I think it's katori.wordpress.com. There I have a report up about all my matches and some of my thoughts about the tournament and things like that if you want to read more into it. Besides that, I think that's it for this video. Hopefully I'll be back again with another video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm really happy that I got third place at my first English major tournament. Hopefully see you guys again soon. Later.